Jason Robertson and Matt Duchene are leading the charge offensively for the Dallas Stars. Can they keep it rolling tonight against the Columbus Blue Jackets? Plus, we'll play Shooting Star on today's episode of Locked On Stars.
You're Locked On Stars, your daily podcast on the Dallas Stars. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Howdy, Stars fans. I'm Joey Erickson, former producer of 105 Through the Fan. Please be sure to subscribe. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. And as always, thank you so much for making us a part of your day and making us your first listen. Thank you for joining me on this Tuesday edition of Locked On Stars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. The Dallas Stars continue a East Coast road trip tonight against the Columbus Blue Jackets. We'll preview the Blue Jackets and we'll play Shooting Star before we wrap up today's episode. But first, we have to talk about Matt Duchene and Jason Robertson, a new dynamic duo for the Dallas Stars. They're not playing together, but they're each bringing a ton of production since the turn of the new year. So I wanted to quantify some of these numbers because I found it fascinating the amount of points Duchene and Robertson are putting up and just the overall efficiency of what they are doing as well. So these numbers come from Quant Hockey and they allow me to set a custom date. So since January 1st, of 2025, Robertson and Duchene are top 5 in points since the turn of the new year. They both have 26 points, and that's up there with the likes of David Pastrnak, Leon Draisaitl, Nikita Kucherov, and Nathan MacKinnon. And maybe you expect Robertson to be there, but I found it fascinating that Dutchy was right there as well. And they're not power play merchants either. And we all know the Stars are much more productive on the power play since the turn of the new year as well. I shared the numbers with you yesterday. The Stars are clipping at 31% on the power play, which is 4th in the NHL. But Robertson and Duchene, within the top 8 of this list right here, have under 3 minutes of total time on the power play. Kucherov has well over 3 minutes a game. Draisaitl and Pastrnak, Nathan MacKinnon, almost 4 minutes. So Robertson and Duchene are having less time on the power play, but equally as productive. Robertson's on a tear. He's got 14 goals, which is second since the turn of the new year. And yes, they have a ton of power play points too. They each have 9. And White Johnston is just a point behind too. He has 25 points. So the Stars offense is really starting to pick up the pace. And Jason Robertson in particular, of course, he's just coming off a game where he had a hat trick. But if you look at his points per 60 in all situations, Robertson leads the NHL. 4.18. So he is at an elite pace currently right now. He's where we think he should be or thought he would be for the majority of this season. We all know about the foot surgery he had just before training camp. So he did get off to a slow start, but he's starting to put himself into the conversation with some of the elite scorers. Now, can he continue to keep it going? Robertson and Duchene both have 3 game-winning goals as well, or make it 2 for Dutchy, and Robertson has 3. He's got 5 power play goals, 2 Robo does, and that's big for him. The Stars need him to pitch in on the man advantage, and he's been a large part of some of their success, along with, I just think, some better execution as a whole. But you look at their shots on goal too. You know, the Stars aren't littered in the top 10. Actually, there's no one within the top 10. Robertson, 66 shots, since the turn of the new year. That's 17th in the NHL. And you have to go even further until you get to Matt Duchene. So they're doing it with a ton of efficiency as well. But I thought it was fascinating that Robertson, and more importantly, even Matt Duchene at 34 years of age, is really shouldering a ton of the load offensively for the Stars. And you can go to some of the 5-on-5 numbers as well. Duchene leads the Stars this season with 15 goals at even strength. He has 34 points, and Robertson is creeping up behind him now. He's up to 13 goals at 5-on-5, which is a great sign. And like we saw in the contest against the Islanders, he's just getting to some of those scoring areas that we're familiar with. Getting interior. The first goal he scored in the second period of last game. A beautiful passing play between Bork and Hintz, but Robo finds that little soft spot in the Islanders' sort of box as they were scrambling in the defensive zone, and he cuts right to the middle on his stick and off it. Didn't think about it. No hesitation. Rips it low and beats Sorokin. And then he got set up for a beautiful power play goal. The first one he scored off another fantastic passing play. All he had to do was find the back of the net. And then he completes the hat trick by just getting to some of those areas where you're going to score goals. And now it's about the postseason for him too. Can he bring that elite level of production to the postseason? We're still awaiting for a breakout series, a breakout postseason for Robo. We all know what he can do in the regular season, 100-point season a few years back. But now it's about being productive in those big moments. And we can make the same case for Duchene. Duchene had 6 points, I think, last year in the playoffs. Of course, he had the big goal to put away Colorado, but he wasn't good enough. And maybe a lot of that has to go back to that story he told on Spit and Chicklets about he got banged up after blocking a shot, and then a lot of the emotions of his departure in Nashville started to flood back, and he was just really never the same player. So I think we can have a realistic viewpoint on things heading further into this season, that he's going to be an impactful player for Dallas, and would not be surprising if he's leading the Stars offensively in the playoffs. He's just playing with such a freedom, and everything is clicking for him, and he looks as healthy as ever. And he's the straw that stirs the drink with his line of Duchene and Granlund, who have become a really nice trio. Granlund has just fit in perfectly, and I'm really curious to see when Seguin comes back at some point, we hope, how DeBoer goes about shuffling the lines. You would think you have to add Seguin back to the Duchene and Marchment pair, and then you can have Granlund in your bottom six. And now you're talking about a potential 30-goal scorer that's in your bottom six. Now you're living right. So there's a lot of interesting dynamics with this Stars group up front. They have so many pieces. We saw Stankoven was healthy scratched the other night, and Blackwell checked in. Oscar Beck's been a steady diet in the lineup, and that's not going to change moving forward as well. But Robertson and Dutchy have turned into one of the more dynamic duos here with the Stars. And of course, they don't play together, which makes it even more impressive that they're putting up these type of numbers. And don't forget about Wyatt Johnston, who's just trailing behind. He's got 25 points. He's got 17 assists since the turn of the new year. And, he plays a lot. He plays the most of any other forward with the Stars, because he does get on the power play and he kills a lot of penalties, averaging over a minute and a half of shorthanded ice time. And, Wyatt Johnston's got 10 even strength assists, and he's got 5 goals at even strength as well. So he's right in the mix too. And these are 3 of the key players for Dallas moving forward. And we got to throw Rope in there. And Rope hasn't been as noticeable recently. He's been more active defensively in the first few games back from break. I'm curious if he's 100%. I don't see the jump here coming out of the break. He has played a lot of hockey, so maybe I'm looking into things too much, and I'm not going to become too critical of Rope, who for a lengthy period of the season was the Stars' hottest goal scorer, and he's been caught by Duchene now. But they need Rope to start getting into that conversation of elite production too. And I'm talking about Hintz, who's coming off a night where he had 2 assists. All right, but I want to see him put the puck in the back of the net at will too. He's always an integral part of what the Stars can do, because he's the number 1 center for Dallas. You got to have a Jack Eichel type, right, who has been a hot topic of discussion since the Four Nations. Can Rope play to that level? Of course he can. But will he? And will he be healthy enough to do it? That's another question. So either way, the Stars have a couple of pieces right now that are scoring at will and putting together some big point nights over the last month and some change heading into March. So all positive signs, and they need Robertson to be at his best, and they need Dutchy too. That's the takeaway, or that's what we're hoping for here in Dallas. Can they be the guy that the Stars lean on when they need a goal in a big spot? Dutchy and Robo have been that right now. We'll see how it all transpires as the season comes to an end. Alrighty, let's jump into a preview of the Columbus Blue Jackets. Stars took down Columbus in their first meeting. It's the final game of the season series as the Stars wrap up a 3-game road trip. We'll preview the Jackets in just a moment. Today's episode of Locked On Stars is brought to you by Indeed. You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? It's easy. All you have to do is use Indeed. When it comes to hiring, Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job posts seen on other sites. Indeed sponsored job posts put your post at the top of the page and help you reach the right candidates faster. You get to find those candidates that match your job requirements, so you don't have to spend hours and hours sifting through a ton of resumes. It takes all the hassle out of finding the right candidates for you. You can speed up the hiring process as well with, get this, a $75 sponsored job credit. Just go to Indeed.com/lockedon right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring, Indeed is all you need. So Columbus is an interesting team. If you look at some of the 5-on-5 numbers, the expected goals percentage for Columbus is in the bottom third of the league. They're 28th. This is via moneypuck.com. 46.51% is their expected goals percentage. But then you go to their goals for at 5-on-5 this season. It's second in the NHL, above Dallas and just behind Washington, who is currently first in the NHL. So Columbus has 131 goals at 5-on-5, just a couple more than Dallas. They're giving up 121, which is 9th worst, but their goal differential is +10. So they have been overachieving, at least when you look at some of the advanced numbers, but they are a team at 5-on-5 that can give you fits. And we did see that in the first meeting earlier in the month in Dallas. It was a back and forth game. Columbus had 3 1-goal leads. Dallas tied it heading into the third period at 3. And then Evgeny Dodonov picked up a pair of goals in the third period, and the Stars walked away with a 5-3 win over the Jackets. One of the issues the Stars had against the Jackets in that first meeting was active defense for Columbus. Provorov scored a goal. He is always looking to jump up in the rush and looks to create offense. And so is Zack Werenski. And if I recall, I can't remember if Werenski was in that game or he got hurt at one point. I need to go back and look at the time on ice numbers. I feel like Werenski left at one point in the contest and possibly came back. Maybe I'm off my rocker. He did play over 25 minutes, so maybe he just left for a stretch. But we all know what Werenski has done this season. He should be the favorite for the Norris Trophy, but he's not. And it's sort of mind-boggling. 62 points this season. He's been fantastic at even strength. He's got more points at even strength than Makar. He's just as good on the power play. But for some reason, Makar is like the clear favorite to win the Norris. And Werenski is just being criminally underrated. And he leads the Jackets in scoring with 62 points. But they also have some guys up front that can make you pay. Kirill Marchenko having a really good season, just 24 years of age. He's a winger. He's got 56 points. He leads Columbus with 21 goals. And you know about Adam Fantilli, who Marchenko plays with. Cole Sillinger had a really solid game for Columbus back in the first meeting. So that's a name to keep an eye out for. But the defense is the key for Columbus and key for Dallas to keep an eye on. Do not let this Jackets blue line jump up in the rush and wreak havoc in the offensive zone, because they want to be active and they want to be really, really fast in the transition. And we saw some of those goals, just really quick transition for Columbus, and they came downhill at Dallas, and they were able to convert a few times. They ended up with 30 shots on goal, 14 of them in that third period. The Jackets went 0 for 3 on the power play. Their power play's league average this season hasn't been fantastic, hasn't been abysmal. 21.6%. Their PK is 25th in the NHL. So it's a penalty kill that the Stars can exploit, and their power play is humming recently. 16 power play goals in their last 19 games. And Dallas in general is humming a bit. They're 8-1-1, and their two losses were that shootout loss in LA, which they should have found a way to pick up 2 points, and sort of a dud in Anaheim. Stars are just rolling right now, and they're getting fantastic performances for Otter and DeSmith. I would think they're going to probably have Otter go here tonight against the Blue Jackets to close out the road trip. And then you have 3 days off before you're back home, and you take on LA on Friday, which you probably want to have Otter start as well. And then you have a back-to-back upcoming in about a week. So we'll see DeSmith at some point, maybe Sunday against St. Louis. That's an early evening game at home. You'll possibly see DeSmith working on that Sunday against St. Louis. We still do not have an update on Liam Bichsel as I'm recording this late on a Monday evening here. We're still awaiting a diagnosis. What's the update? We did get a glimpse of him in the locker room last night after the boys were coming in through the tunnel after the win, and Blackwell gave him a bit of a pat on the back and a hug, which is hopefully a good sign, or just really just a group that cares about their young defensemen too. It's just really, really strong locker room, as we've talked about all season long in Dallas. But man, I hope Bichsel is not going to be out for a lengthy amount of time. And if we're assuming, it could be a head injury, possible concussion, and you never know how long that can be. It's just really just comes down to time and rest. And hopefully it won't be a week and a half, or maybe 3 weeks is what I'm really concerned about, and he can get back into the lineup. But of course, he did not come back after leaving in the second period against the Islanders. So no new update on him. I would suspect by the time you're either listening to this or watching this on YouTube, we will have more information on Liam Bichsel. So there hasn't been any call-ups yet. I'm curious because Stars are thin, right? I mean, right now they're down to 5 defensemen. So it'll be very telling on Bischel's injury, whether or not they pick up or recall somebody from Texas. So we could see Petrovic. We could see Capobianco, who's had a cup of coffee here with Dallas as well this season. Petrovic may be a more realistic answer, but I said that last time, and I think they kind of erring on having Capobianco, just since he's a bit younger and he does provide you a little more offense. Petrovic would probably be the answer in the postseason like he was last year if you just need a body, because he's a veteran and understands his role. But Capobianco got some time, or just a game earlier this season. So we'll obviously know more about Bischel's injury if Dallas has to recall somebody from Texas, whether that's Petrovic or possibly Capobianco. So we'll keep an eye out on that. Of course, follow Locked On Stars on Twitter. We'll be all over it, retweeting any information that comes through to us from morning skates and all that good stuff. So there's a quick preview of the Blue Jackets. Dallas has to be very cautious of their defense that loves to create some offense. So keep an eye out on that. Speaking of offense, let's pick a shooting star for this finale of a 3-game road trip coming out of the break, where the Stars are bidding for 3 in a row out of the break and a 4-game win streak as well, dating back to win right before the Four Nations break. So we'll do that in just a moment. It's time for Shooting Star on this Tuesday edition of Locked On Stars. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Never miss an episode of Locked On Stars. By the way, thank you for making Locked On Stars your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the Locked On NHL podcast, bringing you daily league-wide stories that matter with local coverage you love from Locked On. You can find Locked On NHL on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts, just like Locked On Stars. And as you saw yesterday, I hopped on Locked On NHL with Gil the other day, and every once in a while he asked me to come on and we get some updates about the Stars, and we chatted up, and it's always a fantastic time. So be sure to check out Locked On NHL as well, just for a more comprehensive coverage of the National Hockey League. But it is time for Shooting Star. I went with Wyatt Johnston the other day, did not get one in for the Islanders contest. Dadonov had a really strong game. He's having a great year, by the way, with his goal the other night, 16 goals this season. And I remember when I tweeted during one of the preseason games, Dadonov scored, I said, he's going to have a big year, isn't he? And he's leading. He's certainly living up to that. It's mind-boggling. He's 6th on the team in scoring, Dadonov. The Stars have 3 players in their mid-30s within the top seven of scoring. And then they also have guys that are, 25 and younger with Johnston and Robertson and Harley. So Dallas just has a great mix. I'm going to go with Harley for Shooting Star. I don't know if I've even picked him this year, but I'm going to go with Harley since the power play is rocking and rolling. Give me Harley to have a big night. He's going to play a lot, especially if Bischel is going to miss some time here. And I'm going to have Harley with a big night. He's up to 10 goals now this season, has a modest 3 goals and 4 points in his last 5 games. He keeps it rolling tonight against the Blue Jackets on the road. And I predict a comfortable 5-1 victory for the Dallas Stars to cap off this road trip. That's what I'm going with. Let me know your score prediction in the comments below, as well as your Shooting Star pick. And that will close out a Tuesday episode of Locked On Stars. I want to thank you for joining us on Locked On Stars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. It's the playoff push. The Stars are playing some of their best hockey of the season. I am giddy. Yes, I have tons of concerns, but we got the trade deadline coming up in a week and a half. So it's going to be a great time to jump on the bandwagon of Stars hockey. For those of you that are new, welcome aboard. Thank you so much for joining us. This community is fantastic. I love every one of you that tunes in every single day. Shout out to all you everydayers out there. I really, really appreciate it. And we're rocking along here every single day, bringing you Stars content and beyond. So that's what it's all about. And I picked a great time to sort of jump on the Stars podcast just a season ago. And I'm in my sort of second full season, if you will. And it's been an absolute blast. And this is when the hockey season gets fun. We were in the bit of the dog days there in January, early February, but now it feels like a sprint. And that's when the urgency comes into play. And that's when fireworks happen. Enough rambling. Thank you so much. Be sure, like, comment, and subscribe. Continue to hit the subscribe button. We continue to pump up those numbers. We're so close to 2,500 subscribers, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe we're already well past that. I'm selling y'all short. We're almost at 3,500 subscribers. Let's get to 3,500. That'd be something. We're about 60 away from that. So let's do that. Anyways, have a great rest of your day, Stars fans. I'll be back tomorrow to break down what I think will be a Stars win, and we'll continue to pump out some episodes every single day. Have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow. So long, Stars fans.